No, we got to the Mishnah. Right. I'm just waiting for it just to right. Hapayas Ashlishi, the third raffle, the third dosri. Chadoshim Nakteres, those who are new to Keteres, means somebody who's never done Keteres before. Boyu v'fisu, come and raffle. V'oravi, the fourth one. Chadoshim im yeshonim, new and old. Mimale vo min hakevesh hamizbeach. Who takes the limbs from the ram to the mizbeach? Oh, very good. There's a couple of points. One point is that since we said Chadoshim Keteres, the new ones for the Keteres, by the fourth one we have to then invite everybody. So that's why we say Chadoshim Gam Yeshonim. The first two we never said those words, but this time we have to say those words because of the fact that we've excluded the old ones from the third. So now for the fourth one we have to invite them back in. Now we already talked about taking the limbs to the Mizbeach. If you remember, that was yesterday's daf. Oh, very good. That was only till the ramp. There was another job of taking from the ramp all the way up to the top. And there's a huge machlokes, how many kohanim was needed, and was it one kohen, etc. We'll come to it later in the Gemara. So it comes out the Maisa that there were four ones. Chumas Hadeshen, that was one. Then there were 13 to do the Korban Tomid. Then there was one for the Keteros. And then finally there was one or a number to take it from the ramp all the way onto the Mizbeach. It says about nobody ever got the Keteros twice. My time made people wealthy. Only popular by my time. What's the reason? In front of you. Then it says after that, wealth. As well, it says that means that the oil which is completely consumed, kol means complete, and the next verse where it also says Baruch Hashem Chelek. The oil is shchiach. Every single person that brings a common oil gives us many opportunities for oil. Means even if there's, let's say, 1 million kohanim, the chances are over 1 year there'll be 1 million oilers, and therefore everybody will have a chance. If there's 1 million kohanim and there's only 365 days in the year, there's only going to be 300 of them going to Keteros. Only a very small minority ever did Keteros. So the problem is, so what? So what that this is shchiach and this is not shchiach? At the end of the day, if the Torah says it makes you wealthy, it makes you wealthy. So Rashi writes, Holo shchich, umistava says Rashi, when the Torah says Baruch Hashem Chedo, that Hashem will make a wealth, it's probably talk about the Keteros, not the oil, because the Keteros is rare, and it's not likely that Hashem would make everybody wealthy. The Tesis Shonim is very disturbed by that. So what? Why can't you have everybody becoming wealthy? And therefore, why does it say that only the Keteros? So he said that's not makes it. So he says like this. He says that on the contrary, everybody would become wealthy because every kohen that bought the oil would have opportunity to become wealthy. Only they wanted also the Keteros' bracha. That means there were two brachas to become wealthy, the oila and the Keteros. The oila, if a kohen really wants to become wealthy, all he needed to do was donate a korban oila and then bring it up himself, because if a kohen donates a korban, he's allowed to bring it up himself. And he's guaranteed the bracha Hashem Chileh from the oila. But the Keteros, he has no opportunity. But of course, you would also become wealthy from the oila. Says Machlekes Rashi and Tesis Shonim how to understand this whole shchicha or shchicha. Now, since we mentioned the psukim of those brachas, we mentioned another dosha. You won't find the Talmud Chacham to Moed that can pass halachas. Dosim Yeshivat Levi and Yeshivat Yisachar. Either comes from Levi or Yisachar. Levi dechsiv yoyvu mishpatecha leYaakov. They'll paskin mishpatim to Yaakov. In fact, the halacha is that every Sanhedrin had to have at least one kohen and Levi. Yisachar dechsiv Yisachar yoyde bin leitim. They knew the halachas, the itim is the dates, the times. The das mayasi yisor. The Gemara, maybe Yehuda nami dechsiv Yehuda mechokiki. That Yehuda would establish laws. And so asukei shmata libo dehilchasa ka'amino. That there's a separate darga that learning halachas to actually be able to paskan a libo dehilchasa, to be able to always come to the right conclusion in halacha. And that only Shevet Levi and Shevet Yisachar were able to do, but not Shevet Yehuda. Okay. That means our Mishnah has all been talking about the morning Korban Tomid, but we know every day the Korban Tomid is brought twice. So what about the Talmud in the afternoon? Did they make a new raffle or not? Says Abichin or not? Whatever job you got in the morning, you repeated it in the afternoon. Meisvei. Keteris as well, yes. As well. It says more Meisvei. Kishim shufais and shachris kach mefais v'na'bayim. So the Havana at least in the more understood the same thing. Meisvei kishim shufais and shachris kach mefais v'na'bayim. They made a new raffle in the afternoon. Kitanya hi b'keteris. It's referring to the keteris and taka the keteris. You made another raffle. That's right, because we want to maximize it. So therefore, we didn't give the same person. That's right. Very good. Loi is male. Keteris is female. Otherwise, we keteroh. So therefore, loi, it must be the common tomid. Ema loch. So you have to change the gills of the Beis and kshim faisin lo, kach faisin lo. Fei the gemor v'otanya kshim faisin loi shachris, kach faisin loi arvis, or kshim faisin lo shachris, kach faisin lo arvis. That we've got Beis that says that you do one morning, one afternoon, one in the morning, one afternoon. He says one slash shazach, one slash shakir. You're going to change the loy to law. The Beis speaking so. That means in the middle of the Shabbos, I want to say actually what's the Shabbos? It's a mistake. The middle of Shabbos, the mishmois would change over. So therefore, you couldn't give the people one in the morning, the one who wants in the afternoon, because it was a separate mishmo. So therefore, what would happen is the mishmois on Shabbos, you'd have to make that a new raffle in the afternoon. Says the Gemara, according to the way we understood it originally, that indeed you make a new raffle in the afternoon. Nefishalu paises. There's too many raffles. That means the way the Torah says this halacha that there were 4 raffles in the Beis Hamikdash was quite an established mishnah. It was like an older mishnah. Now, if you're going to say they made another raffle in the afternoon, there wasn't 4. There was much more. There was 5. So therefore, the Gemara says you have to say that there was only 4, and you have to say that there was no new raffle in the afternoon. How can you say otherwise? Answer more, no. That will not be a proof. Why? That means they would make in the morning another raffle. That means everybody agrees they never gathered again in the afternoon to make a new raffle, because we know there was only 4 gatherings for the raffles. Only 4 times they get all the credit together to make a raffle. But the habit of the Gemara is not like a Yehuda, is that what you do is you would gather them all in the morning, and at that same raffle make 2 sets of raffles, those for the morning sessions and those for the afternoon sessions. But the Ma'aseh Yehuda held they didn't do that. Rabbi Yehuda held that what they did was they did it all. There was only one. The ones who wanted in the morning, wanted in the afternoon. The exception being Shabbos. It was the separate one. Rather, the kohanim that went originally to put it on the ramp, which we learned yesterday, later on, after a couple of avodas, they would then take the same piece which they put on the ramp, they would take it on the top of the mizbeach. So we have the machlokas. Was it a separate kohen that finished the job, or was it the same kohen that finished the job? What's the machlokas? Oh, very good, very good. But what's the machlokas as to should you get the same kohen to finish the job? It's a bit like by a bris. Should you get another chayk and another chayker? That's the question. Is it gedai to have more people, or is it gedai to give every person a complete job? That is the shaila of you. What's more covered to the Beis Hamikdash? More says, the more people, the bigger this chus it is, and therefore it's better we should have more people split into 2. It's not correct, as the Shimon says. It's not correct that you should only do half a job. So therefore, you have to do the entire job. We once had Rabbi Yehuda that says that the one who won the Keteras, he would tell his friend next to him, you be the one to take the fire pan. Says the Rabbi that you can't hold the both of Rabbi and the Rabbi Yehuda, because as Toli pointed out, if that would be the case, you don't have 3 raffles. There has to be a 4th, because we said earlier there always has to be 4. So according to Rabbi Yaakov, they never made another one, which is the last one in our Mishnah. So where was the 4th? The 4th was the one who helped the Keteras, who was the one to take the coals inside the Beis Hamikdash. That was the 4th. According to Rabbi Yehuda, who held that there was no such thing, he had to hold, not like Rabbi Yaakov, that there was a 4th who would take the limbs further up on the Mizbeach. So it comes out that Rabbi Yaakov and Yehuda can't hold of each other, because if they did, they would end up with only 3 and not 4. Again, let's go. Rabbi Yehuda said, Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, Dim Kain, Botzulu, Paisa, should only have 3, not 4. If you were to find such an opinion that there's 5, top of Chavov Beis, that means if you hold of Rabbi Lezer the holds of our Mishnah, that there was a separate Zafat to take it up on the Mizbeach, and another one to choose who would take the coals inside, then you would have 5, and therefore it would come out that you would have a 5th, that there would be a 5 Paisas, if you would find such a Tan. Tomid, Koi, Betisha, Ubasor, Bechadosor, B'Shleimosor, B'Pochos, B'Yoyosor. That means the Kohen Tomid required either 9, 10, 11, or 12 Kohanim, not more, not less. And that means, earlier we mentioned 13 Kohanim. The 13 Kohanim included Mimidashinus, Mizbeach, Mimidashinus, Menorah, other avodas which were not directly connected to the Tomid. But the Kohen Tomid itself was never more than 12. Ketzat, Atzme Betisha. The Kohen Tomid itself was always 9. Why 9? That is 6 for the 6 pieces of the korban, and 3 is for the wine, the flour, and the chavitim, which were considered part of the korban tomid. Bechag, on the sukkahs, one of them would carry a bowl of water, because on sukkahs is a special din, which we have only with divrei Kabbalah. It's not mafurish in the Torah, of nisach hamayim every day. Harikanasah. Ben Arbain, every day in the afternoon, Bechadasah, you would take 11. The Kohen Tomid would 9, like we mentioned previously. And 2 would take 2 logs of wood. Now, every single day in the morning, they took 2 logs of wood, and every day in the afternoon, they took 2 logs of wood. We're going to learn that for a special drasha. In the morning, only 1 Kohen carried 2 logs of wood. In the afternoon, 2 separate Kohanim carried 2 logs of wood. Either way, it's very interesting that the Mishnah only mentions the 2 carrying the wood in the afternoon, but it doesn't mention the 1 carrying the wood in the morning. And the Mefarshim explain that the morning one was not part of the avodah; it was separate from the korban tomid. It was a separate halacha to set up the wood. In the afternoon, the wood was a chelik of the korban tomid. So therefore, even though in the morning we have 9 plus 1 for the wood, we don't count him. In the afternoon, we have 9 plus 2 for the wood, we do count. So Shabbos, Shabbos have 11. Who asked for Betisho 9 for the Kohen Tomid? When you took away the lechem upon you gave it out to the Kohanim. 2 Kohanim would take a spoonful of the levoina, the whole ladle, I should say, and put it on the Mizbeach. Shabbos Pesach Achad, we had achas sluchat shel mayim, and you'd have to have 12. In the afternoon of Sukkot, then you would have how many? You would have 9, 11. I don't know if they did Nisach HaMayim in the afternoon. No, they never did Nisach HaMayim in the afternoon. They only did, the Gemara says, only did Nisach HaMayim in the morning. Oh, the Gemara says we do, sorry guys. The Tomid Shel Shach in the morning, you would have an extra one in the afternoon. Very good. Very, very good. The weekday also you would find that you would get an extra one. So they only did the Nisach HaMayim in the morning, but not in the afternoon. But the Menasech, the one that would pour the water, they would say to him, lift up your hand means do it where we can all see what you're doing. Once a tzduki came and he did not believe in Nisach HaMayim, so after taking it all the way up to the Mizbeach, what did he do? He poured it over his feet. And all stoned him with their swigim. Now Rashi says, why does the Mishnah need to mention that they used their swigim? The answer is to prove that it was the morning, because in the afternoons they wouldn't have their swigim. Tosis points out, Sean points out that Akiva Yerushalayim would carry the lulav and esek all day long, but there were only individuals. The vast majority didn't. And what happened was, if he had says, we're going to kolom, the entire people, so therefore it must have been that, right. So therefore, Shmamino is a raya that you only do it in the morning, not afternoon. How do we know we need 2 separate Kohanim? What?
That's when the story happened.
Yeah, but then but then wouldn't have needed to tell us that they stood with their swigim. The answer is to be medag. I don't know. That's Rashi. Rashi.
Yeah, they could have had an afternoon event and they had nothing to stone him with or
Yes, but then the Mishnah wouldn't have said that. The Mishnah could have said nothing. The fact, why did the Mishnah tell us what happened?
Right. I mean, it could have happened on other
occasions.
Right. Not on Sukkot, but telling.
No, it has to be on Sukkot, because they only do this Chamaim on Sukkot. It could have happened in the afternoon, and the Mishnah. Why does the Mishnah need to tell us what was the eventual story? Right. Says the Gemara, we mentioned already that in the afternoon there was 2 logs of wood with 2 kohanim, in the morning with 2 logs of wood with 1 kohen. Va'olchu eitzim is plural. There, ubia is lashon yochid. That means really there's a problem, because this pasuk of va'olchu eitzim is actually talking about the morning common Talmud. But regarding that, it says ubia b'lashon yochid. It doesn't say ubia wakir. What?
Is the deal from the bia or the orach?
I think Rashi says ubia. Yeah, Rashi says ubia. The more actually also says ubia. I mean, the pasuk actually is talking about the common Talmud of the morning. Look at the pasuk of Yoma. Is the next pasuk. It's also about Shacha, but since you already told us in the Shacha you used 1, so therefore the pasuk of Va'olchu must be talking about the afternoon. Says the Gemara. Maybe the term is like this: 1 kohen should bring 2, and then after that another 2 kohen should bring another 2, 4 logs of wood all in the morning, because the pasuk is talking about the morning. The pasuk shouldn't change. Says one, no, we had to change. Why did we have to change? Because we want to tell you that the first one should be bought 2 logs of wood with 1 kohen, and the next 2 logs of wood should be bought with 2 kohenim. The pasuk wants to tell us 1 should do 1, and then 2 should do 2. Says one, no. More says sorry, my mind's. That either the pasuk should first, because the first time it says ubir, and the second time it says va'orchu. So it could have said va'orach va'orchu, or ubiyahu. But it doesn't say that. The first time it says ubir, you should burn, and the second time it says va'orchu. So the Torah is obviously using separate kinds of lashonos. That that's what we're saying. That the first time in the morning was 1 kohen doing 2 logs, and afternoon 2. Sometimes you'd have 13, 14, 15, and 16 people that would be in the Rafon. So he says like this. Rashi explains, let's just say, Tanya Yud Zayin, that's 17. Let's see, Rashi says 13 that's our Mishnah. 30 we said. 14 is when you've got the Tzlucha Shomayim. Because our Mishnah was talking about how many people were directly involved in the Talmud. The previous Mishnah is how many people won in the Rafah. If you add the 2, you get these numbers, because you've got 13 is when it says the previous Mishnah, 14 with the water, 15 when it's Shabbos, and then you've got 2. Then you've got the 2. Then you've got the 2 B'zichei Levoino in the afternoon, and sometimes 16 is a Shabbos, which is Sukkos in the afternoon. You would have 2 B'zichei. Shabbos in the morning, you'd have Nusach HaMayim plus the Shnei B'zichei Levoino plus the 13 of the thing, extra 3. Votan Yud Zayin, sometimes 17. Because when Yehuda would hold that what? That you would add an extra person that he would for the Ketayos. Sorry.
Less people.
There were less people, sorry. That meaning that he said that means like this, that the 17th was the either the one taking it up on the Mizbeach, that there was that according to Rabbi Ben Yaakov, that was not according to Rabbi Ben Yaakov, the same people did it. So it's not Rabbi Ben Yaakov, Rabbi Yehuda, that there was an extra one to take it up on the Mizbeach. Right. That means you'd have another one to take it up on the Mizbeach.
We're not going into Ketayah.
We're not going into the Ketayah. Because there was an extra person to take it up on the Mizbeach. So Rashi says, "Lishmat Yisrael Sachiv V'Yesh Minon."
Yeah, because you got 13 from to take it to the realm, 1 to take it up.
Yeah, but why I hate to look up less than Yaakov. Oh, It actually leaves it shver, I must admit. Oh, but this one is get not like Beis Menachem, not like a Yehuda. And then that way, it's like neither of them. And then you have to add one either for the extra for the machta or one for the one to take it up on the mizrams.
It can't be like we said before. It can't be like either.
Can't be like either. And then you have to add an extra 117 for the post. Okay, we'll stop here. Very good.